The critics, the YouTubers, the TikTokers lied to you about this movie. The people who got early access to this movie, Supergirl, said it was good. It was a 6 out of 10. It was a 7 out of 10. It's funny. It's decent. These were all the things I heard about this movie before it came out. I seen one or two people being harshly critical about this movie, but the majority of people were like, it's a 6 out of 10. It is not a 6 out of 10. This movie is a 4 or 5 out of 10. This is a frustrating thing with people having early access, is they tend to add an extra point or two onto a score so that they get, access to future movies. The reality is, and the rhetoric online since this movie actually dropped today, is this movie is terrible. And it is terrible. And I hate to say that because, it's the second movie into the DCU or the DC universe. And it's so disappointing that it wasn't good. I have no opinion of Supergirl in the sense of I'm not a fan of hers, I'm not a hater of hers, I'm just neutral towards her. And I was going into this movie with a neutral attitude, low expectations due to the reviews saying it's a 6 out of 10. And then somehow my low expectations got hit under. And I think that's a really big worry. We're going to dive in with what didn't work in this movie, the dialogue, the plot, the villain, the acting at times. There's a lot that didn't work in this movie. Nearly everything would be my argument. And we'll be diving into the negatives. I will try and keep this as spoiler free as possible. I obviously don't promise that there'll be zero spoilers, but I will try and keep it to what's in the trailers so I'm not ruining any of the movie for you too much. So let's dive in. What was wrong with this movie? Before we get into the negatives, I just want to focus on the main positive of this movie, and that is Millie as Supergirl. She is fantastic. Do not get rid of her as Supergirl. She is amazing. She did excellently in this movie when she was required to. And by that I mean when the script was good. The destruction of Krypton, all that storyline, all the flashbacks in this movie, she nailed them 100%. When the script was poor, for instance, her being drunk, her being hungover, well, yes, that's Supergirl. The way the script kind of wrote it was that, that real American drunk where it's like, oh, I'm so drunk. It's like, I work as a bartender. No one acts like that when they're drunk. It was just silly and ridiculous. And not in a good way or in a funny way. It was just really cringy is the word I'll use. There was a lot of cringy dialogue in this movie. And unfortunately, you can be an excellent actor like Millie is. But if the dialogue's terrible, you're not going to be able to fix that. So that's the one really positive of this movie. There are other positives, and I will get into them as I continue this review, but we're going to dive in with some of the negatives now. I just really wanted to highlight that her as Supergirl is excellent. I want to see her more as Supergirl. Now we're diving in with what I didn't like about this movie, and from the second the villain walked in, I knew I was going to hate this movie. And that sounds very harsh, but I'm just very good at telling when a movie's going to be shit and when it's going to be good based on early scenes, because it's all about writing, direction, pacing. The villain arrives at Ruth's house, Ruth's family home, and starts talking to her parents. He's a brigand. He arrives in, and the first thing he does is sit down menacingly. He looks ugly. He looks kind of, I don't want to say scary, but creepy. And then he goes, give me that pie over there. I want to eat some pie. And it's like all the tension in the scene went in seconds. And that was constant in this movie. Any semblance of tension in 90% of scenes was instantly erased by some shitty joke to undercut the tension. This constantly happens in James Gunn's movies. I know James Gunn didn't direct it, but this guy who was writing this movie was 100% taking inspiration from James Gunn as a writer. The problem with James Gunn is he doesn't know how to write scenes with tension without undercutting them 9 times out of 10 with a joke. And I absolutely love him as a director, but that is what he does a lot, and this movie did that a lot. And it was so frustrating, and I just knew the movie was going to be bad. I physically eye-rolled at this scene. So that was already I was dialogue and jokes in this movie are going to suck. Then he goes and murders Ruth's family. And now this villain kidnaps kids and tries to impregnate them. This is what his clan does, his brigade do, so they can have kids. It's really fucked up and messed up. Ruth is a child, and he just leaves her alive and leaves the house without kidnapping her? Why? You've established he likes to kidnap kids. Later in the movie, he wants to kidnap her. He's like, you're a good one. It's like, why would he just leave her in the house? Stood there in front of him. Straight away, now the plot doesn't make sense. The dialogue's bad. The jokes are bad. The tension's out. You see what I said about that first scene with him instantly made me realize this movie's going to suck balls. And it did suck balls. There were so many tropes in this movie. And by that I mean they had Ruth as the kid in the movie tagging along with Supergirl, holding her back constantly as kids always do in movies when they're paired in with an adult. The kid's always the one going, oh, sorry, I fucked up. Or the adult's like, hey, stay here. And the kid always ignores it. And that happens constantly in this movie. Ruth constantly gets them into fucked up situations because she's an idiot, because she's a child. And I just, for once, want to see a kid in a movie who's not completely incompetent. Why didn't they make Ruth a badass character? Because the whole movie, she's like, I'm going to get revenge. I'm going to get revenge. And she is shown to have the ability of a 2-year-old, actually. I honestly think I would have fought better as a 12-year-old child. Genuinely, every scene where she tries to use her sword, she just loses her sword. It's like, what the fuck is this character? So pointless. On top of that, this movie spends the entire time doing the no-kill rule thing, where Supergirl, fights loads of guys, but doesn't kill any of them. She, breaks hands and stuff, but she never, kills someone. And then at the end of the movie, spoiler warning, if you want to click away or skip 10 seconds or 20 seconds, she kills the main villain. After telling Ruth, if you kill him, you'll feel terrible. I'm sure Ruth will never be able to sleep at night killing the guy who killed her family and, impregnates children against their will. I'm sure she will not be able to sleep at night. I'm sure she will struggle. I'll tell you something. If someone killed my family or my dog or did any of the stuff that this villain does to people and I murdered him, I would sleep like a fucking baby that night. No one in the cinema would have cared if Ruth killed this guy. In fact, I would have cheered maybe. Like, genuinely, I hate the way they we're better than him. Yes, you are better than him because you don't go around kidnapping and children, Jesus, awful writing. The other thing is, she was so much, Supergirl was so much stronger than the villain and all the people she was fighting. They had to keep constantly nerfing her and letting him escape in stupid situations. At one point, he uses a grappling hook device to, grapple hook away from her. And in my head, I'm like, you have laser eyes. You have the speed of light. You can fly at incredible speeds. Maybe not the speed of light. We don't know how fast they can fly in the movie universe. But you're fucking fast. How has this guy gotten away? It's just stupid. Every fucking 5 minutes, she's poisoned. This guy had kryptonite. There was just always a reason this guy could nerf Supergirl. It didn't even feel like her movie, if I'm being honest. It felt like Lobo's movie because he genuinely had more badass scenes than Supergirl. It genuinely, she was never shown to have true potential in this movie. There was probably one or two scenes where she was shown to have true potential. And that was it. And it was like, I am here to watch, superheroes kick ass. That's why I'm in this movie. Why do all these writers who get superheroes think that I want to spend 50% in the movie watching the superhero be like, help me, I'm useless. I don't want to watch that. I want to see my superhero kick fucking ass. It was so bad. And on top of that, never mind the fact that they just constantly made her poisoned or weakened or whatever so that she couldn't fight to her full potential. They also, the action was terrible. Every action scene was dusty and dim and dark. There was a bar fight scene where we spent more time staring at Ruth in the corner of the bar than actually looking at the fight. And I'm like, why are you not showing me the fight? What is going on? Where's the 100 million budget? It's not on the fight scenes because I can't see any of them. And I'll have the trailer up because I rewatched the trailer, and the trailer has all the best moments from the movie in it, by the way. The trailer has all the best fight scenes. All the best sections of the fight scenes are already in the trailer. So if you've watched the trailers for this movie, you've seen all the best fight scenes in the movie. Constantly the action scenes would zoom in on her and show her kind of up close, but you couldn't actually see what she was doing. Again, I'm a big believer in superhero action scenes, taking the camera back a little bit and us seeing the wider picture of both the battlefield where the enemies are laid out. And, really it should be one shot for me. One or two shots should be all you need for a good action scene. When I see the shots going clip, 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 I know it's a bad action scene. I can't see what's happening. I can't see where the characters are. I can't see where the enemies are. It's really hard to establish yourself in the scene. And this movie would be fun if you completely just forgot about everything and turned your brain off and then cut away half of the movie. Maybe this movie would be good. I am sweating a lot for people who cannot tell. One of the good things about this movie is the cinema had air conditioning. I live in Ireland. It's currently 30 degrees right now, and we don't really have air conditioning in our houses because it's only sunny 2 weeks of the year, so we don't really do that. And we are all now dying as a country from the heat. It is awful, and I am sweating profusely. I actually hate recording when I'm feeling like this because I'm constantly fucking up. But sorry, getting back in with the video. What was also horrible with the action scenes, which were terrible themselves, and they weren't awful, they were just very mid action scenes, but if the rest of your movie is going to be bad, at least make the action good. But anyway, the music was shit as well. The music was just terrible. There wasn't really one song in this movie that that fit a scene where I was like, oh yeah. The way I was saying this movie is inspired by James Gunn. It's very clearly inspired by James Gunn kind of movies. At least James Gunn picks good music. Supergirl gives me punk rock vibes or AC/DC. This is who she should be listening to on her little headphones as she's kicking ass. And it just would have added, I think it would have taken those action scenes up a notch or the emotional scenes up a notch if the right music was applied to them. But oftentimes it just was not. Along with the action scenes and the music being terrible, so much slow-mo. An incredible, I felt like I was watching a Snyder Cut. So much slow-mo in this movie. Every 5 minutes there was a slow-mo scene. And the reason there was a slow-mo scene is if you watch the trailers, everything in the trailers is in the movie in the sense of the 6 minutes of trailer footage they've released, 7 minutes, is basically the movie. With 90 more slow-mo scenes added in. There was so much slow-mo in this movie because they knew they didn't have a movie. So they were like, how can we pad out the runtime? Let's add 50 slow-mo scenes. Right, look, I've dogged on this movie really harshly for 5 minutes, about 8 minutes, so I do apologize, but it was really bad. It was really bad. I can't believe there's people online saying this is amazing, or this movie is a 7 out of 10. If you consider this movie a 7 out of 10, Never rate a movie for the rest of your life. And someone's going to come in and they're going to be like, who are you to police ratings? I'm no one, but at least I've spent 8 minutes arguing it, my point of why this movie's shit. So if you're going to argue with me in the comments, please at least write, something comprehensive and interesting. Do not just tell me the movie's good. We're going to dive into some good things before I end off the video. Jason Momoa as Lobo was pretty decent. Probably the second best bit of the movie. I still don't think he was amazing, to be honest. Again, I think it was dialogue that made him bad. I think he played Lobo really well. I just think the dialogue was a little weak. Action scenes, again, with him looked kind of cool, but you couldn't really see what he was hitting 90% of the time, the way they shot the action scenes, because they always shot it close up to him and had him just swinging his weapon around, but you weren't really seeing what he was hitting a lot of the time. It just was not well laid out. But again, he was really good as Lobo. I'm excited to see more of him. I don't know if he's good enough that I want to see him in his own movie now. I don't know if he's that good, but he was good enough. He's going to be a good supporting character in any movie, definitely. And the final thing I loved about this movie is that they killed the main villain. I already pointed out how that was a massive plot hole, because the whole movie they're like, don't kill people, even though they're fighting people who, again, kidnap and children. No one would care if you murdered these guys. In fact, this movie should have been 18 rated or 16 rated, and they should have just had Supergirl just lasering people's arms off, taking people's heads off, taking names, and establish that she is not Superman. Make her own hero. That's what I would have rather see. I didn't read the Woman of Tomorrow comics, so I luckily did not have a pre-bias going into this movie. I think that helped with my rating, because I didn't have some, it's going to be like this or that. And so I just purely looked at this movie and went, what was good about it, what was bad about it. And for me, the dialogue sucked, the story sucked, the tension sucked, the main villain sucked. The side character Ruth was just fucking annoying. Like, I could go on about the bad action sucked, music sucked. This movie was just bad. And Millie and Lobo are the only two shining real things in this movie, and the air conditioning in the cinema. We've established that they're the three big great things about this movie. So look, if you did enjoy, I don't like to ask people to subscribe early on into a video. I feel like it's a bit rude. So please do subscribe. We're on 8 subscribers. We have a long way to go before we get anywhere, useful. But I do love doing this as a hobby, and I love talking about Marvel and DC and Star Wars. So I'm going to keep making this channel. We're going to keep pumping out the content for the foreseeable future. If you did enjoy it, please like, again, comment if you agree, disagree, and see you later.